Hello, Warriors. Dale Pinkard here at TradeGATEHub.com. Our sponsor is TradeView Markets. I'm here with Mike. Mike, you got out of the golds very well last week. I just wanted to start off with it. And what has me convinced that we are smart to wait for lower levels to buy is we have dollar weakness today. This candle's lower, the dollar's weaker. And the gold started off, it was about 10 higher. We're way off the highs. Highs were 1890, so we're 20 bucks off the high. Same thing in silver. Tried to rally back at this support zone at 22. So when metals can't make headway with the tailwind of a weaker dollar, what's going to happen if this little pop in euro and pop in cable turns back down and the dollar gets strong again?
I agree with it. Just like saying when a stock keeps getting upgraded or a buy rating, they reiterate a buy. I learned this last year more than anything. You know, when it doesn't go up on news that it should. Listen, I know there are anomalies in the market from a day-to-day, intraday basis, maybe even a half-a-day basis. But the longer that these anomalies play out, the longer they correct. And I'm saying that, you know, the longer that like a stock doesn't get upgraded when it gets over with, it's an issue. It's an issue.
It's a market tell. You know, I think we have to listen to the market, and you know, listening to the market is to notice when things that should be doing something are not. And what does that mean as far as strategy and tactics in the market? And that's what I noticed today, which gives me more conviction that there's going to be a buying opportunity. Just some levels I want to throw out. I think gold could trade 1810, worst case 1775, and I'll be backing up the truck. And silver, 21 should be a decent level. If not, we're going to try 20, but I'll be scaling into longs here. And then the GDX and everything you got out of last week that already is a lot cheaper, Mike. GDX, I'm looking for about 27. So there's still 28 to 27. We talked about this last week, so we're right to wait. And then the last thing I want to say is even rallies in the S&P are being turned away from trying to get through 4,200. There have been several rally attempts, and today we were sharply higher early, just like gold, and it's coming off as well too. Where's the rotation today, Mike? What are you seeing in option sweeps or
whatever they're taking advantage of hurting shorts? Seriously, I want to make a point back to the gold, and it's a trading point, if you will, whether it's gold or metals or whether it's an individual stock. Yes, it's a rule. Yes, it's a lesson, but you can learn it the hard way, like we all have to eventually. But at least I'm going to say it, and I have a responsibility to say it. For example, with the GLD, the longer that, especially when it's someone in a precarious position, the longer that a stock takes for it not to do something that you want it to do, then the cliche comes in. The more likely that something can go wrong will go wrong. And, you know, that's a good strategy. It's a
well,
good
do you know
strategy.
that the word February has, I'm sorry, in fact, you should know this, being, you know, a descendant of the Roman Empire, that in Latin, February means to purify.
Oh, okay.
And you'd tell me this isn't a cleanse and a purification happening to commodity, especially gold bulls, and a purification and cleansing of the bears that we had during February.
It's a scar. That's a scar.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it doesn't know if it's going to leave a visible mark, or you're going to pick it, or it's going to get worse. But that's a scar right now. It is, especially with the volume. That down volume was the biggest volume it's done in 4 or 5 months that day. I have the volume here, but
okay, I'm going to turn over the charts to you and tell me what you're doing. I think we've given people an overview. I know there are a lot of gold bugs out there and silver squeeze guys there, and if they've been looking at our stuff here in TradeGATEHub, they would have caught the ride in the miners with you, and they would have been out and ready with a lot of cash to buy this break
Well, you
based
know
on what
what?
I said
I
over the last
apologize.
several weeks.
It was almost the stairs up and an elevator down. It looks worse. It doesn't look as bad, but that it took me 2, 3, month and a half. And if I didn't time it correctly, want to share the screen, Coach?
Yeah,
It could have
I'm gonna
then the opposite would have happened. The position would have turned into a trade. I would have had to trade out of it instead of it being a good position for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right, let's go. First of all, let's go into TradeGATEHub because I want to make a couple of points about the market in general from a macro level. I won't forget the gold. By the way, I sign in just the same as everybody else. I'm not going to forget the gold uh, uh, talk, if you will, for lack of a better term, and I will show the rotation. But how you doing, Mike V? All right, let me show you what's going on here. As this is what I think, it's setting up this earnings season. As you had earnings today from stocks like Ralph Lauren, Coach, TPR, everything from Pepsi to Kellogg, and you had stocks reacting like a couple of internet stocks that are prone yet to be a short squeeze. So for me, going through our daily routine, I didn't do much this morning with the routine. Hold on a second. I did post this on the main room. Let's go. And you have to be aware of this as these, here's the fear and greed model going back, basically, well, a little bit like, you have to be aware of that. And what you also have to be aware of that, if you can't get the data, just because we're getting a lot more traffic here, I can't really scroll back. You're going to have to watch our videos. By the way, Coach, this is your third video today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not video at 9:30. Then you had Larry on, which, by the way, killer. I followed him before he was, and so you have to go back and look at, and hold on, you have to go back and I apologize, and look at all the data.
Larry kind of echoed some of the things that you said about, even though he's trading and he's tactical, he's still holding a lot of cash. He's not over leveraged because he said this is like a difficult environment where you're getting all these whips and on news or the Fed or something every other day. So he's keeping a lot of firepower available.
I appreciate that.
Do you have a lot of cash
I have
right now?
I would say 70% cash.
Okay.
And the position, my worst position is the VIX, which is probably turning into one of my biggest losers in a couple of years. I'm not adding
I
to it.
predict it'll turn into a winning trade.
I got you. I'm just not adding to it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I know. Yeah,
I'm not really happy hoping for the apocalypse at this point, but I have to do what I got to do.
Hey, Mad Max.
Well, whatever.
Yeah,
Hey,
come
listen,
on.
at least I can lend money to him if it happens. With that being said, no, seriously.
We could be rich during while we watch the nuclear fallout.
Yeah, wait. We'll be like, you ever see Flash Gordon? You ever see Flash Gordon?
Oh, yeah, sure.
We'll be like Ming.
Yeah, Ming the Merciless.
I love Ming. All right, CTA positions.
Yeah, all right, CTA.
I think that's the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater. I digress. All right, CTA positioning. Now they're a little bit ahead of themselves. I punched up before. This is hedge fund. Oh, you know what? This was from yesterday. Pardon me. Let me go to today's hedge fund exposure. As far as fear and greed here, I didn't post a lot today, but was all right. AAI, Helene always has more bulls than bears for the first time in March. All right, so that's what the parameters. It's not like that we're most bullish since last week. The parameters are getting longer of sentiment, which is good for
almost a year ago.
Okay, another one.
A year ago. Yeah.
Tactical sentiment. This is from our friend Jesus. Great point. I'm not biased. I'm here to give the information. Everybody can ask if they want to interpret. Looking like CPI next week is going to line up to be a doozy of a risk event. The CTAs have a full tank of long exposure. God forbid the CPI comes in hot. You got to keep that.
Because people have recency bias because all the inflation news has been tremendous over the last 4 or 5 months. So
what also worries me is the reason
very offsides.
Hold on, is the same reason why we were killing it back in September, because everybody was offsides. Yeah. Now CTAs are pretty much fully loaded, if you will. And now the hedge funds are almost getting to the point where it's dangerous of even being overbought. So at this time of the day or this time of the year specifically, let me go back to some charts. You're having a stock like EMPH, a best of breed stock that gave up stock, after earnings. The bigger ones are reacting poorly. Chevron Texaco still going down. Google, I'm buying it under 95. Google, I'm buying a position right here. I'm going to try to test it, not 94.60 at the gap. And it's only because it's Google. I'll be okay holding it. Of course it's a trade that's going to turn into a position. I'm aware of it, but I'm going to start at 10%. But you know what I'm saying? But you had stocks like DuPont that are popping like that. Coach that popped huge that came in. Capri yesterday was down 30%. They made Michael Kors. Let me go to my main screen if I'm going too fast.
Wow.
Square was a stock that had, the stocks were getting squeezed are no longer strong anymore. A stock like AFRM that was $22 a week ago reported earnings and showed their true colors at 13.
Yeah, there's a false breakout over 20 and then a failure here.
I'm just seeing them give back. Listen, it seems like they're shorting. They're trying to get gaps up to short good news. You know what I mean? Let's wait. For example, like another one, good one is Disney. Nice run, granted, I get it. Disney at the high post evening was 122 last night. Trust me, it opened at 118, had a nice fade to 112. Doesn't mean it's over. It's still holding support way above the moving averages. But for now, as the fear and greed models are a little elevated, that you're getting a pop for these earnings for a reason them to sell a little bit. It doesn't mean that they're coming in poorly. It's just a reason to sell. That's all. So what else?
So maybe where you'd have a better buying opportunity, cheaper and things like that.
But there's proper rotation. Stocks like a Baxter, a medical device maker, has acting been poorly. Once it broke a year low,
that's the biggest range in a year. That's the biggest range in a year.
Well, not only that, Baxter was a blue chip for many, many, many years. Baxter was a very good company. But next, they're still taking some of the AI stocks, the hot sectors. It's, by the way, Coach, it's why the VIX is still negative on the day when it seems like everything, you have stocks down, $14. Oils is still very weak. Carvana was up. The high Carvana today was 1561. Gave it back all on 15 million shares. So Carvana has a $2.5 range. Just like Larry said, he's got cash, and Larry has AI. Larry has a little bit of a long time frame as me. My greatest acumen, if you will, is the shorter time frame. So Larry's staying in a little bit of cash, much the same I will, because I'm day trading, call it what it is.
So it looks like it's the semis that are really holding the market up.
The semis, the banks, the home builders. There's Lennar. I mean, Lennar gave back a little, 108 to 102, whatever. But we'll see how it acts. I mean, I'm going to go back to it. We'll see how it acts from there. I mean, so they're selling some solars. The XBI still acting weak. Qualcomm's an animal. It's just let's see what happens. General Motors still acting very well as GM.
Yeah.
I tried shorting it this morning, and I said, you know what? This is a poor contra trade, and I said I'm just going to short it because I'm being hypocritical, just like the same video I did yesterday. It's up too much. Then you know what? I shorted 4,000 or something like 42.90. I covered it. It went back to 42.60, but I'm not really looking to make 30 cents on it. On a cheesy contra trade on General Motors.
It didn't feel right. You took what you could.
But what was more of it? It was emblematic of what I thought at the market, not what I thought about the stock, and that's not why I like to enter stocks. Exactly. But the bottom line is, let's go here for a second, and it all really goes back to TradeGATEHub, and we can go into the stock screen, and I'm going to make this shorter because, Coach, I don't want to go too long, as you said, and punch up everything here and go to stocks that are up and down percentage for the day. But I'll go right here to make a point. Stock scanner. If Larry's on the sidelines for a second, and I'm going to tell you, he's not the judge and the jury, but he's on the board, and he has a right to have a high opinion, and so do you, and so do I. So I go with this, with intraday to action, at all stocks with high relative volume. It's 11:20 a.m. There are stocks with already 200% of their volume as half the day. Unity Software, there's you. See this you?
Yeah.
I was chirping about it all day on TradeGATEHub. So you was one. I go back and this is not what I'm saying. So you right there. What's going back on the high of the days of 1116? Geo, Sono, great range. Win had earnings. Win, look at Win.
Yeah.
Win, huge earnings range. Hold on, and price action. You don't have to pick a top or a bottom. Actually, Win was doing what the rest of them doing. They sold it into the news. Again, if you're aware of what's going on with the market right now, this is the opening range, 111 to 109. They tried to break it out, and once it broke the 110, it's not a barn burner, but it's emblematic again, not to be redundant about how they're trying to sell. I mean, the stock's still up nicely on the day, but they're taking profits. It's yet to be determined if it holds and if it's a long-term base, but there's good action that way. Coin sold off poorly. Disney, Uber, after its big run, sold off a little bit from Uber was also the first one. Uber yesterday opened up at 37 and it closed at 34. That was hold on, let me go to Uber because I'll stop jumping around, but this was a perfect point of the stock opened up nicely yesterday and sold off. 37 sold off right to 34. That's a $3 move on Uber. Does it mean the bull market's over? Certainly not. But for now, the reason why, again, to end it is Larry's in cash and I'm in cash. I don't have to be, fully invested because I can make a decent number during the day. And Larry doesn't have to be fully invested because things need to take a breather and settle himself out. Notably, let's wait till earnings season abates and everything settles down and things stay a little bit truer. Maybe the VIX does make a pop, but that's how I'm playing for now.
Just keep some powder dry for the miners, bro.
Oh,
it's coming up.
I am, Coach. I have a frac. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. All right. So anything you want to wrap it with here going into the end of the week tomorrow?
Just don't fight the trend. This ON Semiconductor was a best of breed for a long time.
Yeah.
New highs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stocks are in stock. How about this, Coach? It boiled down to what we were talking about 2, 3, 4 months ago. Stock picking is working. My mom asked me where the Dow is. I go, what? I look like a moron. I have no idea where the market finished.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, but I can probably tell you within an hour to hour range of where Tesla is or Square as I look at the Square. For example,
you are the opposite of this expression that someone once told me, that if you can't name the last price of instruments that you trade, you're trading too many.
There's no, you're right. And if you're watching every tick, you have too much on. That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're watching everything. It's probably a loser, and it's probably going to get worse.
We should be at the beach, bro. So anyway,
if it was easy, it wouldn't be fun, Coach.
Yeah, have a great rest of the day, buddy.
You too. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in.
Nice content.
You too. I'm going to post earnings naturally as I do every day.
Okay, Mike.
What's coming up on after, and we'll be in the room. Listen, this is not a room where I'm going to say I'm starting to build a position in Apple. I'm saying here, I'm buying 4, 6, 8,000 shares of Bobby here. I think it's going, up from 120 to 122 by the end of the day. That's what I do.
Yeah, had a nice little pullback too.
It did.
So, all right. So, don't fade Mike on China. Do it at your own peril. And that's a wrap, everyone. Come join us here, TradeGATEHub.com, and check out an account with TradeView.